lads. I'm talking today about what's wrong with socialism. Now, the first thing I want to say is the practical side of what's wrong with socialism. See, socialists believe that the economy is like a cake. And if you basically share out the cake better, then you'll have a fairer society. So if you take money off the rich and give it to the poor, that's better for everyone. It's fairer. But the problem is the economy isn't like a cake. The economy is actually like a train where business is the engine and business produces wealth. And the result of business producing wealth means that successful businessmen become incredibly rich. But what we should be doing is not just taking businesses off them, because that doesn't work. What we should be doing is taxing them fairly. So we should have fair tax for business, and then business being the engine, the tax taken off business then goes to the carriages. The carriages are the health service, education, people on benefits, and so on and so forth. All the other government spending and people in the carriages. Now, also successful businesses also employ a lot of people, and those people they employ also pay taxes. So that's how a successful business works. But socialism doesn't understand that. So because they think it's the economy is like a cake, the result basically means that when they just keep taking money off wealthy people, those wealthy people go abroad. So you have fewer people paying tax. And then what then results is that you have budget deficits. The government just carries on spending more and more money, but it soon runs out of spending money because it's not looking after business. So there's less money coming in. They're spending more money and they can build up bigger and bigger deficits. This happens over and over again. And in its extremes, what happens is like what's happened in Venezuela. Chavez came in, spent more and more money on government schemes. And then all of a sudden, the oil, which the Venezuela economy was based on, the price collapsed. When the price collapsed, instead of doing what they should have done, which was reducing spending, they just carried on spending. So they then built up a bigger and bigger deficit, and inflation started going up. That's happened previously in this country under Labour. We had inflation over 20% at one point under Labour. They just carried on spending. But in Venezuela, it went up to 10,000% in 2019. The health service collapsed. All the economy collapsed. There was people were struggling to buy food in the supermarkets, and people were starving, even going and killing cows in the field. What the government then did in order to keep the economy going was to start raising money through the drug trade. So Venezuela then became the capital of the drug trade worldwide. And they did that because the economy collapsed, and that was the only way of sustaining things. So that then brings me to the second point about socialism. Those are the pragmatics. The pragmatics don't work. The second thing is the morals. See, the problem is socialism has got no sense of godly morals, no sense of right and wrong. It's purely a case of their Marxist beliefs of helping the poor. In fact, Marx said that religion was the opiate of the people. It calms people down. It makes them content. We've got to get rid of religion, destroy religion. But the problem with that is that you then end up with terrible morals. You see, we've got Alice Bailey's 10 points, which she said. She was the one of the heroine of the New Age movement. She said, take God and prayer out of the education system. Destroy the relationship between parents and their children. Make homosexuality an alternative lifestyle. Introduce divorce. Make divorce easy. Make abortion easy. She said, use art. Make art run mad. Produce terrible art things. Use media to promote everything you want. Create an interfaith movement and use the church to promote your ideals. All these are part of the interfaith, part of the New Age movement. And all of them are seeking to create a society without God. And that's what socialism leads to. It leads to a society without God. And I'm afraid it doesn't work. I mean, most socialist societies completely collapse. But societies that don't collapse, like China, have actually introduced capitalism into their society. But in other ways, the Chinese system is terrible. I mean, they now introduced a system in China where if you don't have their digital ID, you can have your bank account is frozen and you just end up on the streets. So China persecutes people that offend their system. They've also been arresting a lot of Christian pastors. All the Christian churches have to be registered. And in China, you have to promote the Chinese Revolution in the church. And if you don't promote the Chinese Revolution in the church, then you can be arrested and sentenced to prison, or the church is closed down. And you have crosses removed from churches all over China. See, that's how communism, Marxism oppresses religion. And China is just one example. Communist countries all over the world oppress Christianity. But the result is a society where there's no freedom. So socialism tends to produce a society with no freedom as a result. So instead of having a hierarchy of rich at the top and poor at the bottom, which they hate, which they oppose, you then have a society where government officials are at the top. People that approve the system are at the top, and people that oppose the system are at the bottom. That's the result of a socialist way of thinking. So in Christianity, we stand 100% against socialism because we believe God has to be at the top. God has to be at the forefront of our beliefs. And capitalism produces a free society where people can get rich if they want to. But, you know, they will pay taxes to make the society fair. So that is what we want, a free society where Christians are free to worship God, free to help, free to be benevolent and help the poor in society. And that's what we believe is a good society. So we encourage you to support a free capitalist society and not a socialist society. Thank you.